You bring the rays together. Patar, third eye. Pamir, pyramid. I don't know. Bodo, parasite gland. Kawun, Anuki. All is existence. We are existence. Rahubat, Moisar, Mosbatu, Shalil Wu-Sabat. We send greetings to you all with a shok, divine unconditional love. This is to you all here at Nashat, and to you all on Clubhouse, and to you all on Zoom. I am Haptwi Re Atam Hatab, one of the many student teachers of the master teacher, feminines and masculines, the master teacher, Pa Nabab Yananan, the galactical master of heaven and earth, affectionately known to us as Baba Yanun, an avatar or Ilamuta Jasud, as they say in Arabic, or we say a Nadar, or overseer, or a Murzaq, a Rizqian, incarnate into the body of His Excellency Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, or Quran, 33 degrees over 720 degrees. Let's start with a little chant. Up to Pataruk, Leia Paravuk, Yanun. Up to Pa Babab, Leia Hu. Up to Pataruk, Leia Paravuk, Yanun. Up to Pa Babab, Leia Hu. Up to Pa Taruk, Leia Pa Ravuk, Yanun. Open the way to the Ravuk, soul of Yanun. Up to Pa Babab, Layahu. Open the door to him. Let me just quickly say something. We start off with this, we've been the race together. All these is for a purpose. What it is that with our hands, we are engaging the electromagnetic forces that's in, around, and through us. Basically, we're energizing the energy field. We're energizing Patar, the third eye. We're energizing the mirror or our nose. We're energizing the submental, Barbaruf, the parasite gland, the submental region. And we say Kawun, all is existence. Anuki, I am, we are existence. Okay? So there's a science behind everything that we do. That's why we call Wu-Sabat our spiritual science and universal knowledge. Okay. And today's class is entitled Mechanics of the Mind or Quantum Mechanics. Baba Yananan, the master quantum physicist. Now, the mechanics of the mind. This is really, I think it's really for those who've been in doctrine for quite a while. Mechanics of the mind, does that resonate? That title, Mechanics of the Mind. Does it resonate? I can say something, hit the mic. Does it resonate?
Yes.
Does it resonate? You have to get myself so people in the listening audience can also hear as well. Don't be shy, family here. When you say mechanics of the mind, what resonance do you hear when you hear the mechanics of the mind?
What comes to mind is how the mind functions.
Okay.
The parts and pieces of how it moves and how it thinks.
Okay. Anything else? Mechanics of the mind. That title, Mechanics of the Mind.
The different parts of the mind and how it impacts the way
You're on the right. You're on the right. You're not hit the bullseye, but you're on the right track. Park that for trying. Anybody else? That term, mechanics of the mind.
What came to my mind
would be how the mind works.
Yes, yeah, mechanics of the mind, how the mind works.
I was thinking more of if you get down to the minuscule quantum mechanics and how there are things that physically your mind has some physicality to it because of quantum mechanics in the small parts that can be.
You know something? You're all right. You're all right. But check this out. Mechanics of the Mind was one of the first scrolls the master wrote 60 odd years ago. It was called Mechanics of the Mind, one of the first scrolls he wrote. And later on, he renamed it the Mind Scroll. Hear that? Mechanics of the Mind. And years later, he renamed it the Mind Scroll. A very powerful scroll. This particular, when we put mechanics of the mind or quantum mechanics, you're all right. What the master has done, we all need to come to a realization, is that when the master teacher says our spiritual science, that science he's referencing is quantum physics or quantum mechanics. Now, when you Google what does quantum physics or what is quantum mechanics, they say the exploration of things at an atomic or subatomic level, when you look for the definition of the word quantum mechanics or quantum physics. However, in Wu-Sabat, we say quantum mechanics is the explanation and exploration of spirituality from a scientific perspective. Get that?
Mm-hmm.
Quantum mechanics is the explanation and exploration of spirituality from a scientific perspective. So what do we mean by that? Meaning that if you're chanting or you're praying or you reading something or you're doing all these practices with no knowledge behind it, then we are stepping into the realm of belief, faith, and hopes. But when you look at things or when we approach things from a scientific perspective, our door begins to open up. And the more we delve into it, the door opens up wider, wider, and wider. What we mean by that is we start to have what's referred to as, you heard the term DNA explosions, meaning that, oh, damn, I just realized a DNA has been opened up. There's a shift, an internal shift in consciousness of 1 degree. He's explained this in a couple of classes. All it takes is a 1 degree shift in consciousness for us to move in the right direction. And there comes a point in our studies and in our application, because we've heard the term knowledge is power, but without the application, knowledge is just in an inert state, meaning it's inactive. But once there's application, it now becomes activated. Just like the 9 forces, the 9 etheric forces that we are composed of. The 9 etheric forces that we talk about a lot, those 9 etheric forces are in an inactive state or an inert state. But once we start doing the works, by way of our actions and application, these forces now begin to work. Here it is, from a quantum level to an atomic level to a physical level, in and around and through us. So we start activating or engaging these forces. You see? This is what I want to say also. Yeah, there comes a point in our studies whereby we now transcend from a physical to one who now gains by way of spiritual insight. I remember we did a class on that some time back. Our learning now becomes we now studying with spiritual insight. And you begin to read the scrolls of the master, and you're seeing things from another perspective, a deeper perspective. And you look closely, you realize the master has been saying this from day dot. It's nothing, he's not saying anything new. All it is that we have not caught up to what he's written. And you read the Holy Tablets, read the scrolls. Oh, okay. You start reading the scrolls, the mechanics of, for example, yes, emotional energy, natural ether energy, constant and vibrating neuroscience of Wu-Sabat. All the scrolls the Master Richard has written, you begin to realize it's all predicated upon quantum mechanics or quantum physics. Now, I just want to say this. I talked to one of the guys at work, and when you got the knowledge, you talk to anybody and everybody. That's what I do at work. Talked to one about it yesterday. I said, "Yeah, I'm doing a class tomorrow on the called mechanics of the mind or quantum mechanics." And he kind of fell back as if to say, he fell off the floor. And like I said, it's nothing that deep and heavy. It may sound deep and heavy, but this is the master teacher. He has made what seems so complex simple. It is so simple. Everything that the master teaches us is so simple that you go in what do you call it? Secular education. They use all these long terminologies that just throws you away. What does that word mean? The master teacher makes it so simple, makes what seems so complex simple, absorbable to any and everybody, regardless of their educational background or educational qualifications. He makes what seems so simple or which seems so complex simple. That is a master teacher. Now, the second part of the class is Baba Yananan, the master quantum physicist. Now, let me Google that, master quantum physicist, and this is that's what I came up with. But here, share this with you. It's really this is their definition. Let me just find it. So I Googled it. This is what came up. While some physicists are highly influential and recognized for their contributions, there isn't a single title that signifies the ultimate expert in this field. Oh, yes, there is, and is in our midst. Pa Nababinun, the master of heaven and earth. And if you're going to say, so let me just say this, okay? So yes, there is one who fits that title as the master teacher. You read this, we have this scroll here, the Sacred Wisdom of Tahuti. Oh, let me just quickly add here this though. I should say this at the very beginning. It's because this is just another installment of classes based on this science of quantum mechanics. The reason why we're doing these classes is because the master said that in a video, I mentioned this before, it's called How to Prove the Existence of the Most High. Go on YouTube, find out how to prove the existence of the Most High. And there's a part 2 to that, which is called Class in the Temple of I Am Hotep, the master teacher. How to Prove the Existence of the Most High is about an hour and a half long. Class in the Temple of I Am Hotep is about 2.5 hours long. But they're the same class, just split it. And in those videos, he mentions, but he said it's in about one sentence. The next level to divinity is that as a quantum existing being. That's how he broke it down. That's all he said. The next level to divinity is that of a quantum existing being. And this particular scroll, the sacred wisdom of Tahuti, is what they, let's say the more like the Greeks, they were taught the lessons or they came in communication or contact with the teachings of the sacred wisdom of Tahuti, which we call the Ha-Ha teachings. And from the sacred wisdom, they got the Kabbalion or the 7 Hermetic principles. And they created a character called Hermes Trismegistus, but it's Tahuti. So what the master teacher has done, he wrote this scroll and he says, read it. Now repeating things from last time. I'm going to read this there. I'll find it. A little excerpt he written in here. In here he talks about how I don't find exactly. But anyway, what he says here is that this particular scroll was written to correct the teachings of the Canaanites, of which they deemed the Kabbalion of they had 7 principles. Here we got 9. And so he said that due to when that was written, science wasn't at a high level when that was written. So he's here to set the record straight. And this is coming direct from the incarnation on behalf of Tahuti. Set the record straight. Oh, could you go back to the class? That's it. So yeah, go to the title there. So Pana Babyanan is that master quantum physicist, and his teachings, or he is here to raise us all up, feminines and masculines, so we too become master teachers just like himself. He's here to raise up deities, leaders, not followers. Okay, he wants people to walk alongside him, not behind him or in front of him, because he knows the way. He knows Pa Taurok, the way. Okay. Now, earlier on we did the word chant, up to Pa Taurok, Leia Pa Rarok Emyanun, up to Pa Babab Leyahu. Now, this chant is a command we're sending out. How you know that? By that word up to, which is open. And up to, from the word patu, up to is the command tense. So we are invoking or commanding those forces to open the way to the Rawok, the soul of Yanun. Up to Pa Baba, open the door, Layahu, to him. This is a command we are sending out to the 9 etheric forces to work with, through, and by us. So it's not just up to Pa Tarok. You start looking into the depth of it, you see, oh, there is a science behind everything that Pana Babyanana has given us. See? And what we are doing when we say that, or we say any Ronum chant, we are actually invoking these 9 etheric forces, you see, and changing the atmosphere. And not only changing the atmosphere, but we are changing our physical being at a quantum level. I like to use that word, at a quantum level, you know. So there's a lot going on in Wu-Sabat. Okay. And as we are changing ourselves, or as an individual, we are also making an impression on each other as well. So don't have to babble on too much. So there's quite a few on Clubhouse now. Rahuban. Now, I just want to say this. We said that the mechanics of the mind, when the first scrolls to master teacher wrote 60 odd years ago, and this is like the hard copy. And if we go to page 40, the mind scroll, this is scroll number 11, from the unreal to the real. And this is what the master writes inside here. He writes from 31, page 40. My children, ultimate reality, my children, I've introduced you to the existence of the all, El Kulum, which knows Pa'ut. 32, what some call quantum physics. That's what it's got here. I think jump to 34. Oh, okay, we got to 33. Know ye that El Kulum, the all, alone is real. All gods, be they called Buddha, Krishna, Isis, Allah, Yahweh, Horus, Adonia, El Elo, Amun-Ra, Anu, Hunum, Theos, Dios, Obatala, Rab, Mazda, Elohim, Osiris, Allahumma, Supreme Being, Atun, Creator, Sebek, Most High, Shango, are all in the all. 34. The world of illusion is unreal. Idol worship is unreal. Idol worship is not evil, for no idol can be the all. 35. And the individual soul is eventually returned to the all. 36. For all things exist within the all. From within the all is where you came. 38. And within the all is where you return. We go back to 36. For all things exist within the all. The all is existence. Pa'ut, Kawun, Anuki. We are. From exist. If there's nothing, if nothing doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. Everything starts from, has this inception in Pa'ut. Or it's got here El Kulum, in the all. That means that the all is mental. So the all is mental, the all is existence. Existence is mental. Me say, Papa Kawon Anuki, I am. That means I am existence. And I am mental before physical. Or we are, people say, you heard the term spiritual beings having a physical experience. Mental beings, we should really upgrade that now. We are mental beings having a physical experience. From that where we came, and that is where we shall return, mental. And we know that there are different modes of vibration. Let's say you have the center. We call that center triple blackness, 999. And as the modes of vibration starts to slow down or reduce in speed, the vibration starts reducing speed. It's like you throw a pebble into water and you create ripples. They say the outer ripple is the physical. However, the journey is whilst in the physical state, the journey is to raise our vibrations, our tones, frequencies, and vibrations, so that we move closer and closer and closer to reach Pa'ut, the center. Okay? And since we said it's I'll go back ahead. For all things exist within the all, Pa'ut is existence. Existence is mental. We said we are mental. We are existence. Our true existence is mental, in the mental state. Now, that means then that we should be working on our mental. so that we make that transition back to Papa or the all. And some of us, we head on the physical to experience, and from that experience, either first-hand experience or from a third-party perspective for us to learn. And from our learning, once we learn, we elevate to the next, we shift up to the next level. We learn, we shift up to the next level. We experience things, and keep on shifting, keep on shifting. Okay. So, going back to this. So, let's let you know that in the mind scroll, it says here, read again, my children, I have introduced you to the existence of the all El Kulumi. He tell you there, the existence. In the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So the question to ask is, what state was God in before he created the heaven and the earth? Then before creation, there must have been existence. So God, Elohim, Yahweh, or Allah, or whatever, had to be in a state of existence. But in Wu-Sabat, we teach that before there was the physical, or before there was something, S-U-M, there was nothing, N-O dash thing, nothing. However, before nothing, there was a state of existence where higher intelligence existed and created a state of nothingness, the etheric realms, to put the physical inside. We as nine, we talked about this in last class, we as 9 etheric beings are composed of all existing chemicals, gases, elements, and formulas of natural nature. So we are like that cup, we said this last class, we are like that cup dipped into the ocean of Pa'ot, and we come out, and all the ingredients that's in that ocean of Pa'ot, all existing chemicals, gases, formulas, and elements of natural nature is within this cup, which is us as 9 etheric beings in physical form. All we need to know now is just that. You just need to know. And that's it. You see? So we start to teach now that there comes a point in your teachings, we said earlier on, whereby our teachers no longer becomes of the physical, and we now reach that point of spiritual insight. And we are starting to shift in degrees. And there comes a point whereby we are shifting to the point whereby it's like a domino effect. Things start to expand exponentially. We start to grow and we start to see more. Our perception starts to expand. The reason why we say perception is because we have our 5 physical senses: see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. And Parnababiananan informs us that there's only touch. And beyond touch, we're all under the umbrella of perception, how we perceive things. And there is a science behind perception as well, which we talked about in last class. We will go into it a bit again, okay? So, my children, I've introduced you to the existence of the all el kulum, or some call quantum physics. All things exist within the all. From within the all is where you all came, and within the all is where you will return. The ultimate reality is beyond the reach of the limited intellect, and within the reach of the unlimited intellect and the noble world. You must begin to understand a new physics. It is called quantum physics. That's what you're saying there. Look how old that scroll is. 60 odd years ago. You must begin to understand new physics. Right, I said I'm going to read an excerpt from the scroll, All Expanded. Yeah. Maybe, I'll just open up this book, and even I'm seeing things that for the first time. But anyway, let's read this. This is from Partorok, the All Expanding. This is what the master reads. This is what the master wrote. He says here. This is page 7. It's in Mispatia. Page 7, and let's say verse 74, and it reads, Partorok, All Expanding. By being there, which to you is here, and you became here to them by you being there. There's there and there's here, but when you go there, it now becomes here. Forget that. Nothing would exist if you did not exist. That is to you. All things came into existence with you, even you. So you're the supreme being, Pa'ot, the all. I'm gonna stop there. Go ahead. Nothing would exist if you didn't exist. That is to you. I remember years ago, the master said it like this. Until you knew of Allah, Allah didn't exist to you. And when you was talking about Allah, then Allah existed. So what happens if a person, question to the listening audience, what happens if a person has no perception of their own existence? Or let's say perception, I have no awareness, should I say, or consciousness, or let's say I have no perception of their existence. Do they still exist?
If they have parents, grandparents, grandparents, or they can pinch themselves.
A person is not aware of their existence. Do they exist? I was listening.
No, I don't think you would exist if you didn't have awareness of your own
Existence,
existence.
100% right. He says it here. Listen carefully, fam. Nothing would exist if you did not exist. That is to you. Here it is. So again, all things came into existence with you, even you. So you're 100% right. If you was not aware, if a person was not aware of their existence, they do not exist. See? All things make go, Okay. Any questions thus far on Clubhouse or Zoom?
Two of them are. There's a written question into.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get to the first one. Yeah, it's Tibbs. What is mental? Is it spiritual thought? What is the overstanding of mental?
Right. When we say mental, what we're saying here is that there is what we call a mental reservoir of outformation, information, outellect, and intellect. And our thoughts are, everything that we think of is coming from that reservoir of what we call the mental plane. Now, when we say the mental plane, it's like this. We have the physical plane. There are 9 planes, but people tend to correlate them with only 7. There are 9 planes that we are taught of thus far. We have the physical plane, plane of force, spiritual plane, the 4th plane being the mental plane. And the mental plane is where all thought forms are held. and they are guardians over the mental plane. So before we was physical, we was existing in a state of mentalism. Before mentalism, we then existed in a state of as an ethereal or non-physical state. Then we came into this earth plane by way of our mother and father as an etheric light form. Before ejaculation, the spiritual counterpart of the sperm, or the etheric counterpart of the sperm, ignited with our etheric light, went traveled through the sperm and impregnated the egg. Then there was conception. So before a state of conception, there is inception 3 months prior. And before the inception, there's a state where we're as Ethereans, whole light beings. Okay, and before as whole light beings, we was in a mental state. Okay, so there's a graduation from the mental thought to Etherean to physical. Okay, science, there's a science behind that as well. So when we say mentalism, we are saying a state. They will say a state of, let's call it, for lack of a better word, a state. We were in a quantum state. Okay. Go ahead.
So if we're in this quantum state, do we realize our existence at that time?
Yeah, from a quantum state, we do realize our existence because there's always consciousness. Okay, there's always consciousness. So there is, on that state, there's a state of awareness at that state. How do we know that? It's because when we cross over, oh, okay, no, say like this. In a dream, you go to sleep, and in a dream state, you say, do you know what? You wake up this morning, you tell the family member, you know, grandpa, or whoever came to me in dream state and said, oh, it's really real. They talk to you. So there is a state of consciousness, even in that state. So when we cross over, we leave the physical, it's not the finality of existence. From the earth, so we came, this body, as Master Teacher says, this physical body is rented to us. The physical sheath is rented to us. It belongs to the earth. But the non-physical part, the etheric part, is consciousness. And that goes back, or depending on how we elevated ourselves whilst on the physical, we will determine which state we are in an etheric state. Because there are different modes of vibration, you see. And from that etheric state is existence. Our grandparents, all those ancestors, all those, we say, Wu-Sabat relatives are in that state. The higher beings are in that state, but of different degrees. The higher beings, the Rizqians, the higher beings, what do you call them? Musbatu, the Syrians, Mussa'u, the Orionians, are of a higher state, a vibratory state. Pana-Babylonian is of a higher vibratory state, and a portion of his essence comes down and incarnates in the body of the master teacher. Okay? But we too have the same propensity to raise ourselves up, obviously by way of certain rituals, bring those higher beings into us like the master teacher. So masculine, feminines and masculines can be a munbab tat'u or munbab'u, ones of the masters in an etheric state, or in the Hindus, they call it avatar, feminines and masculines. So yes, in the etheric state, there is consciousness. Okay, awareness, yeah. Okay, just want to read something here. Okay, Sunra says, from Jesus, it's very good, it's got here. From Jesus to quantum physics is a massive shift for many. That's right. It is a massive shift. However, people, we have to expand. We cannot keep on talking about the religion of Abrahamism, Mosesism, Jesusism, and Mohammedism. We cannot keep on talking about those outdated beliefs because it had its day, time, and cycle. Institutionalized religion had its day, time, and cycle. What the master says, this is 6,000-year period or expiration date has expired. So now we are in the hereafter. And the hereafter doctrine is this new science that we need to shift. We have to make that shift. Okay. So it is what's the for here? From Jesus to quantum physics is a massive shift for many. That's right. Quantum physics, something pro-lyrical. Oh, I don't know what the guy's saying. He's here to hear the nonsense, right? Oh, okay then. You Sananifore Bahotep. You stated if you are not aware of your existence, you still exist. If you are not aware, if you are not aware of your existence, you still exist. The answer would be yes, because of the word you. You still exist in the mental or concept form. You're just not aware of your existence yet, and you manifest in the physical form. Well, the master says, as you read from the Patarok, the all expanding 75, verse 75, nothing would exist if you did not exist, and that is to you. So he says it here, nothing would exist if you did not exist to you. All things came into existence with you, even you. So he says it there that if you was not aware of your existence, you wouldn't exist. If all things came into existence with you, even you came into existence with you. And if you're not aware of your existence, you do not exist. What the master teacher is saying there. I mean,
Amal, we have another question on Zoom.
go ahead.
Yeah, it's Terry Jamal Tahuti Akin.
Okay.
How do memories shape identity if all memories were erased?
How memories, say again, please, Samantha.
How do memories shape identity if all memories were erased?
All memories was erased. I don't know where they got that from. That's not part of our teaching. We don't teach memory was erased. What we do teach is that, let's say, Nagaranato Negroes were placed under a spell of sleep or hypnosis. We forgot. We forgot who and what we are and from where we came from. The master teacher calls it the spell of the conscious mind. And I thought, the spell of the conscious mind, or should it be the spell of the subconscious mind? The spell of the conscious mind. I go, okay. We was placed under the spell of the conscious mind, meaning that we became unaware. The spell of the conscious mind. Go ahead.
I think the question was not read completely. It says, how do memories shape identity? If all memories were erased, would you still exist?
Memories.
If all memories were erased, I said, would you still exist?
If all memories, no. The reason why you wouldn't exist if all memories was because you would have no recollection of existence. Because in order for you to acknowledge your existence, you've got to have memory. In that state of mentalism, you follow? if you didn't have memory, if a person didn't have memory, they wouldn't exist. Because they'd be it is memory that gives us awareness. We are aware. So without memory, you wouldn't exist. Because you have that's it. Wouldn't exist without memory. Because our memory is coming from the mental plane. Okay.
May I ask a follow-up question, please?
Go ahead,
Okay.
Sabat.
So if I create myself, but I'm in another person's creation too, because they can see me. So they also have a counterpart of me in their own memory. Is that correct? That is, if mine then disappears, won't the one that they created exist for them of me? Why not?
Right. Yes, they would. Hang on, let me just see if I get that. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, yes, let's say that you were born, you did what you were born, you walked the planet Earth, people acknowledge you as your physical being, and you died. Are you saying that will people still remember you even though you wasn't physical? Is that what you're saying?
What I meant was my existence exists in me, for me,
That's
and
right.
another person's existence exists in him, for him.
That's
So
right.
in his memory, in his existence, he has a shadow of me, kind of. And in my existence, I have a shadow of him because I can see him in my existence, and he can see me in his existence.
Right.
So if I then go away, that shadow existence of him, of me, will still exist for him.
That's
Is
right. Yeah, it would exist. It would exist as a memory imprint on your mind, on their mind. That's correct. And you will still have memory of them in your mind. And because of that, they still exist. 100% right. Okay.
okay.
Okay. Someone says here, Sananifore Bahata. So if you are not in the physical form, you don't exist. If you are not in the physical form, you do exist. Yeah, you do exist in the if you're not in a physical form. But before we was physical, we was in a non-physical form, or we stay in an etheric state of existence. So we did exist. And then we decided that we wanted to become physical. Okay.
Sorry, Zamal. Terry Jamal Tahuti Akinreye had his hand up. Did you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
up
sure.
to your question? Because that was your question, Terry. Did you want to say something?
I just maybe wanted to just try to see if I understood what Haptree said. So, in short, you are saying, as a living entity, you are made up of a collection or a total sum of all your memories, of which without them you wouldn't exist. Is that what you meant, Zamal?
Uh, that's right. That's what Bob the master is saying. Yes, that's 100% right. Without memory of of you existing, you would not exist. That's 100. Yeah, that's what we're saying. And that's something hard to conceptualize, but that's right. That's what it's just saying. You see, so memory is not just um relate. It's not just what word can I say? It's not just related to the physical, but to the non-physical as well. Okay. So in that state of existence, there's memory. In the non-physical state, in the etheric state, there's memory. Okay. Just as how there's memory in the physical state. So everything is based upon consciousness or awareness. Okay.
So Zama, just maybe before you proceed,
Okay.
so in cases whereby those people, for example, someone is involved in an accident
Yeah.
or maybe something happened, then they are unable to recollect any memory or have a remembrance of anything.
Right.
So what do you say about such people, Zama?
Yeah. So a person has an accident, and they can't remember what transpired. All they know is that they woke up in the hospital bed and that's it, and they don't have no recollection of what happened. So what you're saying?
Since you said when someone has no memory, then they don't exist. So in that context, where someone loses their memory after an accident, does that mean how are you putting it in that context?
Okay, right. Yeah. Okay. They're alive. They now all that means is just that they just had the memory loss. Okay. Now they do exist in that state. They're just forgotten, or there was an impediment in their memory. Just like we all had past lives experience. However, we cannot remember those past lives. So with a thing they called hypnotic regression, a person can have memory recall of past lives. Now, we can have total recall, especially in this daytime and cycle, in this new sun cycle, we can develop to have total recall. Because how do you know that? Prior to writing, prior to the inventation of writing, things weren't written down. So we had memory, total recall. So the reason why things are written down is as a means of recording, it's like a record. You got a book, you have a book that's written, let's say, for example, the Emerald Tablets of Tahuti was written, they say, 36,000 years ago, and it's written 36,000 years ago. So it's written so that 36,000 years later, people want to know the science or the secrets, they can go back to the records because they have no memory of it. So basically, when we say memory, it doesn't mean that there's no existence. If you're in the physical, it just means in that instance, you have an accident or a person gets whacked over the head with a frying pan and they forgot, just that they forgot, but not that they doesn't exist. When we say, when the master says, all things came into existence with you, even you, he's saying that without you having any recollection of your existence, you do not exist. So the first thing to be aware of is of yourself. Because everything, as it says here, all things came into existence with you, even you. And that is just one line. Sometimes certain things are, I know sometimes there's a challenge, for us when we're reading, but there's still little words like this is that we should ponder on and expand our minds. That's why it calls the scroll the all expanding. Now, there's an excerpt, that's I found it. I hope that answered questions, Amal.
Sure, I think Zama.
Okay. So it's got, let me just read this. This is again from the same scroll. This is number page 9. And I'll read it from verse. Let me see now. Okay, let me read from verse 102 from all expanded part of rock. It reads 102. Every person, place, and thing exists on circles, colors, and sounds. Each being's 103. Each being's own circle with all things around them has seasons, limitations, and non-limitations. 104. When a person stops growing, that is a limitational being. 105. When a person thinks that is unlimited, how far one can imagine. 106. Limitational or limited you is why you physically die. 107. That is the reason why a physical living being stops growing, although they still have access to the same nutrients, as before the growth does, as before, the growth does not slow down, it just stops. 108, you just stop growing one day, that exact moment. 109, when the organism reaches the full strength of the center, being spiritually outward from the point of existence. 110, it is your own divine formula circle, and it stops growing because it has reached the limits to which its formula can expand without becoming something else or ceasing to exist as a specific entity or living being. Bit of a mouthful there. Huh? Oh. When the organism, read that again, 109. When an organism reaches the full strength of the center, being spiritually outward from the point of existence. Oh, hang on, sorry, I read that. Let me read that again, because I read it a bit wrong. I'll read it like this. That is the reason why, going back to 107, that is the reason why a physical living being stops growing, although they still have access to the same nutrients as before the growth. As before, the growth does not slow down, it just stops. They've reached their point of expansion. They cannot absorb more information. They cannot access more because they have what we call a limited intellect. 108, you just stop growing one day, that exact moment, when an organism reaches the full strength of the center, being spiritually outward from the point of existence. It is your own divine formula circle, and it stops growing because it has reached the limits to which its formula can expand without becoming something else or ceasing to exist as a specific entity or living organism. That individual cannot transform into an ethereal whilst in the physical. That's their limitational point. There are those amongst us that have an unlimited expansion rate to the point whereby they become like the master teacher, a deity in human, an ethereal in human form. They have an unlimited expansion rate. That's what he's saying here. Okay. Read that bit again. It is your own divine formula circle, and it stops growing because that divine formula, has reached the limits to which its formula, that divine formula, can expand without becoming something else or ceasing to exist as a specific entity or a living organism. They cannot make that transformation. That is what he's saying in essence. Okay. Now, going back to the mind scroll, keep that in mind what we just read. Going back to the mind scroll, page 41, verse 39. Okay, let me start from 37 again. From within the all is where you came, 38, and within the all is where you return. This ultimate reality, Papa, or expanding, is beyond the reach of the limited intellect. They cannot go any further. The intellect does not allow them to go any further. That's it. And 40, and within the reach of the unlimited intellect and the noble world. So there comes a point of what you're receiving, no longer it transforms from information to outformation, from intellect to outellect. And hear this now. You now transform into an outstructor as opposed to being a mere instructor. You're now teaching outformation coming from higher dimension. You follow? So now you're reading the scrolls now, how it should be read. I can't get the words out. You're now reading the scrolls with one who has a higher perspective, and you're now reading it interdimensionally and receiving outformation. That's how the master teachers teaching us. What I'm trying to say is, these words are interdimensional. That's what I'm saying. The scrolls the master teacher written are interdimensional. And let me quickly say this. And even within the scrolls, there are secret and sacred chants in the scrolls. But unless an individual is actually doing a lot of chanting or do a lot of breathing, they won't notice it until it's pointed out to them. But not everything that you learn is to be taught to the student. It will come to the student by way of the higher forces when they are ready. The doors will start to open up. That's why the master teacher says in the second wisdom Tuti, his teachings are called the Ha teachings. And when the student is ready, the forces will guide the individuals to the scroll, and they will see their eyes will be open or be expanded. You're no longer, like I said before earlier on, you're now reading from with spiritual insight. You're now studying, you're now absorbing the spiritual insight. Okay. Learn and absorb, understand and apply. Okay. Hope I didn't lose anybody there along the way. Any questions thus far on someone's got hand up? Is it Tibbs?
Yes, just I was just saying, what is the brain then in all of this? Because we think, and we used to think. I don't know. I thought the brain work was mental work.
Yeah, that's a good. What's the brain got to do with what is it? Nothing really. No, no, nothing. Yeah.
And the question becomes, if the brain is mental work, and
Yeah.
when there was no brain, how would you have been mental?
All right. Yeah. The brain, you can look upon it as the conduit for us to receive information. What I'm trying to get in my mind, I'm trying to put the words, what I'm trying to say into words. We have the brain cells, they're called neurons. And the brain cells communicate to each other by way of what's called synapses. Now, we can increase the amount of synapses between one neuron to the next. And not only that, we can increase the amount of neurons in our brains previously it was taught that we have X amount, a finite amount of brain cells or neurons, and after that it starts to die out. However, they now find that it's a thing called neuroplasticity, whereby you can regrow new neurons. And it goes right into I think the master said the 80, in the 80s, 90s, you can regrow new neurons. And as if you have the ability to grow new neurons, you have the ability to create new synapses or communication between one neuron to the next. Okay. Now, also pay attention that we got another brain. We got two brains, yeah, in our solar plex. Here it is. There's a sun there within the solar plex, and the fibers there are very similar to the fibers of the brain. So now we did a class some time back about chanting, and we mentioned that when we are chanting, we should focus our attention on our heart seat, because our heart seat, there is a field, electromagnetic field within the heart seat. They call it a toroidal field that expands way outward. And when we focus on this seat, it creates a stronger resonance than that coming from the brain. However, shift that frequency, that attention down to your solar plex region, and there is an abundance of energy waiting to be tapped. And it's tapped by one thing and one thing only, which is awareness. Before I say something, you're deep and heavy, breathe. No, that's it. Once you're aware of this energy here, the solar plex in this region here, you open up another doorway. That's why the master introduced us. I'll say that's the only reason why. But however, that's why the master teacher has introduced us to what we call the SME breathing, complete total union breath, which you know that we breathe from our diaphragm, which is SME breathing. If when we are chanting, or hey this, not just chanting, when you are reading or you absorb something, focus your energy in this section of the diaphragm. And an abundance of energy. There's memory there as well. So little jewels. I can pass the bucket out with little jewels. I'm giving you like, hey, you guys should be. Anyway, say something else. Okay. I just want to read some. Any questions thus far on Clubhouse or Zoom?
There
Yes,
is another question on Zoom, Zaman, but it's
No.
it's a three-part question. Well,
Okay.
two-part, but one.
Two-part trilogy.
Maybe.
Okay.
Do you want to go ahead with that one, or?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, so it's HMD Global. So it's, are you saying that even though I am not a student of quantum physics, that I have access to still knowing, not believing, and able to digest and understand this particular lesson that the secular and historical mathematicians and scientists have been unable to decipher, being their six ether beings?
Okay.
Part one.
Yes, part one. Yes, you have that ability. You do not need to have knowledge of quantum physics. Do you know something? That's a very good question, because as a student of the master teacher, you are, or as I say, we are inadvertently being taught quantum physics, but we're just not aware of it. And there's a video that I really do recommend people to watch. I mentioned last class, and that video is called "What the Bleep Do We Know?" And it's not heavy jargon. Normally, it's not heavy jargon. You watch that video, and that video opened my eyes, my mind, as to say, to delve into these classes that we are teaching now on quantum mechanics and how Partner Babiananan, how he's been teaching us this from day dot. But what, as you said earlier on in the class, he has made what seems so complex simple. And now, what the six ether beings, they do know of this science. They do know of the science. But when it comes to certain science like scrolls like natural ether energy and emotional energy and how the master teacher has put it together, you realize that this is next level information that we are receiving. Made simple for each and every one of us, as we said earlier on, regardless of whether we've been to school or not. You know what I mean? And in some cases, an individual may not have conformed to secular education, but when they read the scrolls, they pick it up like that, at the drop of the hat. Just pick it up, because that could have been a protection for them. They come to this point, which is now, and then hearing the teachings of the master teacher, the reading the scroll, listening to the tapes, come to class, and things start to fall into place. That individual, they realize, oh, okay. In some cases, I remember a sister came a few some time back. She said, it's like a first class or whatever. She goes, I know this information, yeah, because the master teacher said it like this: Wu-Sabat, Wu-Nawab is more of a remembering tool than it is a learning tool. It's all been pre-encoded in our DNA. It's just it's just a spark that is needed to ignite that DNA. We call it a DNA explosion. Okay? Things just start flowing. And then there's another, say that's a trilogy.
Part two.
Part two, now, a trilogy, yeah.
Is it possible that I have had some innate previous teachings of Wu-Sabat and the existence of knowledge of the sacred perception?
Read that, say that sentence question again, please, Samantha. I think you have to absorb that
Sure,
information.
sure.
Question, please.
Is it possible that I have had some innate previous teaching of Wu-Sabat and the existence of knowledge of the sacred perception?
Yes, you definitely have those amongst us. You know, we have had knowledge of Wu-Sabat, as the Master says that especially in the sacred wisdom of the Man from Planet Risk scroll, and there he talks about how he says how the 144,000 they have pre-encoded information in their DNA, and just the alarm clock going off, and they'll begin to remember. They begin to remember certain things, but with the master touching them, it opens it up. Now, let's say the master touching them or touching us or whatever, it doesn't necessarily have to physically come and shake your hand. Touch could mean many things. You're hearing his voice, something opens up. You're reading the scroll, something open up. You come to class, something open up. You've been touched by the words, the madatat of the master. Okay? So yes, we do have, again, with answer to your question in the affirmative, yes, you do have pre-encoded information, say information, in your DNA, waiting to be opened up. Okay? I hope that answered that question. That part. What's the last part of the trilogy?
No, it's not a question. It says, I have created a song for Wu-Sabat. To whom do I reveal?
Oh, the song for Wu-Sabat. I don't know. Do you know Bastard?
I would say go to the United Sabians worldwide website. Look, there's an email there. Maybe you would like to present it to the admin there, and they would respond to you.
Is that it, the trilogy?
My suggestion.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay, that's great news. You answered that first. That. Okay. I just want to quickly go back. I'm on NHATAP rights here. Just going back to the chat room there in Clubhouse. I'm on NHATAP. We all share collective memory, mental, mind, and all knowledge, wisdom that exists is held in the matrix, not the physical brain. He says here, Master Secrets, number 2. Black dot. Okay, verse 10. I've got this, as it happens, I've got the scroll here. Let's read it for the verse 10. Let's have a look. Black dot helix. Okay. Verse 10. I just saw something. Black dot helix, mine, number 10. Okay. Okay, let's quickly. I just saw something in the same story, which need to relate to you all. But let's quickly read. This is from the Master Secret Mind Link, and okay, yeah, this is very, very good. I'm glad that Zamal brought this up. When I say you talk about quantum physics, it's right here. But yeah, I'm gonna start page. This is the Mind Link, and I'm reading from page 15. I'm gonna start from verse 9. Mind Link. 9. It is all in the Mamtat matrix. That is to say, the Kalei-Makwana omniverse is connected, or all is connected to all expanding by an invisible matrix. A grid of Tabi'al Nashat, natural energy of nature, in which all matter are connected through an invisible lattice of consciousness. I'm explaining something now. You realize, what is this? He's talking about, this is, like I said before, quantum physics, what he's saying there, but anyways, continue reading. Therefore, I'll read again. 9. It is all in the Mamtat matrix. That is to say, the Kalei-Makwana omniverse is connected, or all is connected to Pa'ot, all expanding by an invisible matrix, a grid which all matter are connected through an invisible lattice of consciousness, awareness. As you're studying, you find that this word consciousness keeps popping up time and time again. 10. Therefore, we all share a collective memory, mental, mind, and all that exists is held in the matrix, not the physical brain. All that exists is held in the matrix. This matrix we call Pa'ot, all expanding. 11. And this matter, all material or sums of anything, emerges from the subatomic singularity state of non-dual particles that eventually make up the omniverse and all the things in it. This, I'll read that. Now I'm gonna start again and read this. I'm like, hear this now, fam. It is all in the Mamtat matrix. That is to say, the Kalei-Makwana omniverse, Pa'ut. And the word Kalei-Makwana omniverse in Mispatia, you hear the word mak, wan, ad, which is plural, is connected, or all is connected to all expanded by an invisible matrix. The connection, what Baba Yana is saying here is that we are all connected. And in quantum physics, they call that term quantum entanglement. That's the term they use. You heard that term before? Quantum entanglement. Everything is entangled or connected together. Everything on the quantum level. Someone say something? Continue. Okay. Which all matter are connected through an invisible. Okay, I'm just read that again. I'm going to add a word here. It is all in the matrix. That is to say, the Kalei Makrani omniverse is connected, or all is connected to all expanding by an invisible matrix. A grid of, if you've got here, Tabi'al Nashat, natural energy. This natural energy we call natural ether energy. Referred to as called natural ether energy. He talks about that in there as well. Of nature, in which all matter are connected through an invisible lattice of consciousness awareness. 10. Therefore, we all share a collective memory. Mind, mental, mind. You talk about mental telepathy, how we can communicate mind to mind. And not only communicate mind to mind, but this communication, when they talk about quantum entanglement, means from one dimension to another dimension, all interlinked, you see. So mental telepathy is nothing more than entanglement. That's what it, or in physics, they call it quantum entanglement, mind-to-mind communication. Okay. Therefore, we all share collective memory. Mind, mental, mind, mental, mind, mind. So that portion that we are extracting from the mental to our mind, our own personal mind, we call it mind. Mind, 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 mind. That's mind, mind, yeah, but we all share it. That means then that, and it says in the mind scroll that, let me go up to the mind scroll. In the mind scroll there, about thoughts. I'll find it quickly for you all. He talks about how, oh, I found it. This is the mind scroll again, page 10. Okay, page 10. We're reading from verse. Okay, read the mind scroll. Let's go scroll 3. I'm gonna read from page 9. I get reading it here, but let's go through it. So I don't want to skip. Lo, all of ye Enoshites, forgetful beings. That's what English means, forgetful. All of ye Enoshites projects some kind of vibration to those around thee. 2. Some are a pleasure to be with. 3. They seem to have a certain energy that they share with others. Some they're emanating from their being. You're able to share that connection there. So they're like, I don't know what you call it, like your fingers or something like that. It's like this. You see the picture of the master teacher put the picture of the sun, autumn ray, and you see the hands coming down like that, like from the rays. It's like that. That's what we send out rays to each other. They seem to have a certain energy that they share with others. 4. Then there are those who are absorbed by the negative and the depressed. 5. And they seem to actually draw energy out of people in their environment. Misery seek company. 6. The reason for this, my child, is because there's a power contained in thought. 7. Know ye that is very subtle. 8. Yet it does exist. The power that's within thought, and is extremely powerful. 9. Whether a person is aware of it or not, conscious, the inner shy, forgetful being, is constantly transmitting and receiving thoughts. That means our mind is a transceiver, transmit and receive thoughts, not only from an individual, but also galactically or interdimensionally. Once you know how to raise yourself up, once you start doing the chanting and etc. And one thing we always state is that one practice is silence. Marty always said that we should throughout the day try and dedicate a time where there's just silence, or without the radio being on. The reason for that is to make that journey inward. The journey is inward and outward at the same time. And by making that journey inward, what we are doing is we are introspecting ourselves. It's called introspection. We're looking at ourselves from the inside out, outside in, and we're making that journey. So without us being introspective, how are we to receive higher thoughts? How are we able to receive higher thoughts if there's a continuous rambling in our head? Now, what it is, the mind does not like to be observed. What do you mean by that? If you say to yourself, what is my next thought going to be? You can see, what's my next thought going to be? What's my next thought going to be? You're now looking at yourself. And hear this. Try and do it for about a minute. What's my next thought going to be? What's my next thought going to be? Try that little exercise. Your mind doesn't like to be, because now you're observing your mind, and the mind does not like to be observed. And what it does, something small will come in, but it takes practice. What's my next thought going to be? Just practice that. There's certain meditation, when you meditate or concentrate, what's my next thought going to be? What am I thinking about now? What's my next thought going to be? Keep on saying to yourself, and see how long you've got. If you got hold it more than 30 seconds, I'll give you an apple. I'll give you a drink of water. But a little exercise to do. What's my next thought going to be? What's my next thought going to be? The mind doesn't like to be observed. And the observation of your mind is called, what they call it, there's a word they use. They call it, it stems from a thing called they call it the quantum split theory. Hang on. So what's it called? There's a word they use. Let me find that word for you. I don't want to find that word for you. The word they use. I'm trying to find that word for you because I'm trying to find that.
It's not the molecular split.
You got the no, hang on. There's a word they use. I'm just trying to find a word for you. Whereby you could become aware. I've got it in my notes. I think I found it here. The observer. I'm trying to find a word for you. I want to find a word for you, fam. I'll find a word here. I'm sure I'll find it for you. Called like an observer. You come like an observer of your consciousness. And once you become an observer of your consciousness, you then alter states of reality. You begin to alter states. That's what I'm trying to get at. There's a word they use, but I can't find the word. It'll come to me. Okay. So quickly going back here. So we said here, there's a power contained, go back to the mind scroll. There's a power contained in thought, Know ye that it is very subtle, yet it does exist. And it is extremely powerful. Whether a person is aware of it or not, the inner shy, the forgetful being, is constantly transmitting and receiving thoughts. This, my child, is why people have experiences of what you call extrasensory perception, or ESP, from time to time. Some wish to call these experiences coincidences, but they are not. These so-called coincidences, we talked about this in last class, is called synchronicity. Another word for coincidence is called synchronicity. Coincidence is a bad word, but synchronicity. Synchronicity just means you are in alignment. Not just in alignment with yourself, but higher forces. Every thought, and I just want to say this now. Once we become aware, the word aware comes from again, the conscious of these experiences and how we communicate. You know, I was thinking about that. The reason once we become aware of little things like that, it begins to happen more frequently. See this a little shift in consciousness, a little shift in awareness, and these things start to happen more and more frequently. It's got here, every thought has weight, shape, size, form, color, and quality. So it's telling you now about the physicality of our thoughts. It may not be physical as you can touch, but it is physical. Every thought has weight, has a weight, shape, size, form, color, quality, and power. For example, a spiritual thought has a yellow color, while a thought charged with anger and hatred bears the color red. This is what I want to say here. A thought is like an object. Just as an apple can be given to your friend or taken back, it is also possible, it is possible to give a useful, powerful thought to someone and take it back. There's a power and energy into which each person can tap if the inner shy only knows it is available to them. Again, this is called an entanglement. This force inspires, encourages, reinforces, and gives strength to all those who seek to grow in a positive direction. These 9 etheric forces. And how we do that. Let me continue reading before I show you how you do that. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. Okay, let's continue reading. Many inner shites, however, are unaware of this resource, or they have misconceptions about it. They are like the farmer who moved to a house in the city and lived in darkness because he or she did not know what those strange sockets in the walls were. The light is there and available to all. We only need to connect ourselves with the current and become a child of light, of the green light. So again, it goes back to this thing called awareness. Once we become aware of what is present, is what happens to us every day. Once we become aware of it, it starts to happen more frequently. Okay, and that calls that synchronicity. Okay, now going back to that, so it says going back to mind link. Therefore, we all share a collective memory. And that since we all share collective memory, they call it collective consciousness. We all are a collective consciousness, meaning that if our minds, hear that word, if our individual minds came together we can create outcomes to our advantage. The more minds that come together, we have the ability to materialize that which we want in a positive collective memory. That's what it says here. Therefore, we wish a collective memory, mind, so mental, mind. And that's why the master uses the term, you heard it all before, I'm going to say it as well. Ashok, divine love and unity will free me. But when he says divine love and unity will free me, he says divine love and unity will free us as well. That's the power. We become as one. Everything that we imagine to do, we'll be able to do by the power of our thoughts. We all heard it all before, but there you go. I just want to stop there. Okay, so that's coming from
Zamal,
go ahead, Samal.
the concept that you're looking for is the interference pattern regarding
Yeah,
looking the mind.
yeah, interference pattern. Yeah,
Yes.
How Samal. That interference pattern comes when when you talk about the interference pattern, what is that
When you observe the mind, you were talking that when the mind has been observed, it behaves differently. So the mind doesn't like to be observed. So you were looking for the concept and is the interference pattern what you're looking for to describe this effect that when the mind has been observed, it behaves differently.
right? Yeah, that's right. That's part of what they call the quantum split theory. Quantum split theory. Quantum split experiment. Yeah, check out that movie I said earlier on. What to believe do we know? And it goes into that as well. That we have what's called potential, multiple potentialities. We have multiple paths we can take towards creating an outcome, not just one way. There are many potentials, and each of them are different. And what they're saying, hey, check out that movie, What to Believe Do We Know? And they explain it much better than I could. Okay. So I'll just look at the others right there. Right. Okay, so so I'm on MHATAP. We all share collective memory, mental mind. Yeah, so write that down from the mind scroll. Another brother here says, Curtis Dar, Rahubat, regarding the saying, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Am I right in saying we quantum leap through our ancestors and descendants? We just have to vibrate on the right megahertz. When the master says the first shall be last and the last shall be first, meaning that we was here first on the planet and we'll be the last to remain on the planet. That's what he's saying when he says the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Okay. To make quantum leap, I think though or through our ancestors and descendants, we just have to vibrate on the right megahertz. Do you know something that vibrating on the right frequency does help to strengthen the connection to our ancestors and descendants? However, even before that, all it takes is awareness. That's the first step, is to be aware, And the master teacher says our ancestors and descendants are constantly making communication to us. It's just that we don't pick up the phone. It's like somebody's phoning, but you don't pick up the phone. Or for example, when we pray, it's like we pick up the phone, we saying our prayers, blah 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 blah, and then we just put the phone down. It's like waiting for to hear the call. So that's why the master Jesus says like this: meditate. What do you say? Prayer is the art of listening. I say prayer is the art of speaking, and meditation is the art of listening. After praying, we should listen. If you're not into praying, because not everybody's into praying or chanting, just stay in a state of silence for a period of time during the day, so you can receive the impressions from our ancestors and descendants. That's what it takes, little practices. Okay. Any questions thus far on Zoom or Clubhouse?
Gamal Jose, did you want to ask your written question?
Yes, I can ask.
Yeah.
Thanks about that. Actually, the questions are not directly related with the subject today. But let me say, I wanted to know what are the 5 P's and how do they relate with the star symbol? That's the question number 1.
All right, the 5 P's are a very good question. 5 P's are, this is a master teacher wrote this down years ago. We have philosophy, psychology, the penal system, psychology, philosophy, the penal system.
What is the third one?
Hang on, psychology, philosophy, the penal system, politics.
Penal system.
Oh yeah, the penal system. The penal system, philosophy too.
Pantheism.
What's it? Polytheism. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Polytheism. So you got the penal system, philosophy, psychology, politics. Do you say what do you say? Say
Pantheism.
pantheism. That's it. Pantheism. You get that?
Psychology, politics, polytheism,
Polytheism,
and penal system.
penal system, and to say philosophy. Did you say that?
Philosophy wasn't here. Okay, all right. That's the 5th one. Okay, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome, Zaman. Right.
And there is a second question.
There.
Yeah, the second question is related with our calendar, the Nubian calendar.
Okay.
What are the names of the months and the days as well? Thanks.
Unfortunately, I don't have that information at hand. So, perhaps somebody else who's on the class could share that with yourself. Fortunately, Zamal, I don't have.
And by the way, Hapti, Zama,
Go ahead.
how these 5 P's relate with the star symbol?
Oh yeah, the 5-pointed star. Yeah, they're all part. The master says that these are part of his structure of controlling people by his 5-pointed symbol. Yeah. The master teacher explains that in another video tape I recommended. Prove the existence of the Most High and class in Temple Imhotep. In there, he explains how the 5-pointed star is part of his control, how he controls people. That's why he says that in there, how he says that in the Islamic symbol, you'll see there's always 5 points of their star. Yeah, so but that's how they use to control people. Their 5 points. And
that applies to the flags as well, country flags.
that's right. He exhibits it within these flags, all under his system or his construct. Okay. We would use the 6-pointed star because it's representative of a pyramid, 2 pyramids or 2 triangles interconnected. Okay. As above, so below. What? Okay. Let's leave it like that. That's it. Enough us saying about the mind. That's it. Called the observer effect. That's what the word I was trying to find. That came to me just now. The observer effect, whereby when we talk about our mind, we start to observe our mind and how the mind doesn't like to be observed. We're creating an effect. We're changing, like you said, we're creating what they call an interference pattern. That interference pattern basically means that things are changing within inside of us. We're opening up. That's it. Sorry, the term is called observer effect. When we start to look at our minds, the mind doesn't like to be observed. That's what they call the observer effect. Okay. Sandra asked a question: how do we reactivate the barotheric gland? Well, that's a good question. Simple question, simple answer. First of all, we got to be proven worthy to even have the gland in the first place. And then we may have the gland inside of us, but we have to be worthy for it to be activated. That is done by higher beings, like Panda Babi and Anand. Okay, so a person got to be worthy to have that inserted. So Sonra, I just received a ringtone last night. What does that mean? Somebody must on your phone? Oh, a ring. I just received a ringtone last. What does that mean? Sorry, Zamala, can't answer that question. Curtis. Oh, Curtis is saying saying to Sunra, the master teacher has to touch you under your chin to activate, or you can be sent to Antarctica where insector beings can reinstall, but you will know people's thoughts and will be overwhelming. Okay, yeah, that's in the latest update. However, yeah, the master teacher can touch you and open you up. That's correct, that's for sure. Quantum split theory, that's right. Proven by the double split experiment in quantum physics, that's correct. Michael McDonald's, Schrodinger's cat points more to superposition. Oh, well, for those who know, superposition basically means, yeah, superposition basically means being in multiple places at the same time. Basically meaning that our physical being is we could be here because we are, like you said, we are spiritual beings or mental beings having a physical experience, but there's not just us physical and us spiritual. We have multiple spiritual counterparts, okay, but all interconnected together, okay. Yes, Mark McDonald's, but the double slit experiment proves that observation affects atoms, thus affects the physical realm, our reality. That's right. Okay. The interference pattern took place in the double slit experience, 100%. Atoms can either be waves or particles, and they can interchange. They can be a particle, and then exhibit properties like a wave. Okay, and all this is within inside of us. We have to, Curtis Starr, we have to create a hive mind-like brainiac to attract and all move in solidarity with our solar plexus in unity to bring our master back. And that's for sure. Okay. Right. 100% right. Any more questions before we continue? So just to go back to the title. Oh, have I? Okay, sorry, why? Right, just go back to the title of the class. Just go back to the title of the class. What's the class called? Quantum mechanics of the mind, or quantum mechanics. Any questions as well before we continue?
Zamal Terry has another question.
Go ahead, Samal Terry.
It's written in the chat. Should I read it?
Oh, please. It's another time.
Why does the brain perceive time linearly when physics suggests space space is nonlinear? Are senses of time a survival mechanism or a cognitive limitation?
Okay, a lot there, isn't it? Okay, yeah, what it is that what it is, sorry, I'm just looking at something here. Right, why does sorry, Samantha, can you say that again, please, Samantha? I want to read something from the read it last time. Repeat the question again, please.
Sure. Why does the brain perceive time linearly when physics suggests time is nonlinear? Are senses of time a survival mechanism or a cognitive limitation?
It's it's both. Survival mechanism and also a cognitive limitation. Yeah. Survival. I'm trying to find the quote in the Holy Tablets here. Tablets here. That's all messed up in it. Okay, yeah, so it's a combination of both. What it is that I'm trying to find the quote here in the Holy Tablets. We have I found it. Yeah, we talked about this last class. We have we live in what's called fate time. We have real time. We have real time. We have a zero time reference, and we have fate time. Now, real time. Let me read it from the Holy Tablets here. This is from chapter 1 of the Holy Tablets. This will answer questions about, or whoever asked the question. Holy Tablets, chapter 1, tablet 7, page 69. And let me just read it. This is verse 88. Each individual has a zero time reference and a tone reference and a vibrational level. Yet you exist all in what's called set time, which exists within real time. That is, each individual's real time, their point of origin. All hearts do not beat like a metronome at exact beats per second. Stop there. Each individual has their own zero time reference or their own real time. Got the time there was inception, that moment before conception, before the sperm fertilizes that egg, there was real time. At the point of inception, they call that he explains it later on. Now, yeah, the zero time reference. Page 69, this is verse tablet 8, verse 4 reads, each individual conceived as a zero time reference from the moment of inception, the moment of incident. So zero time reference is before conception, and that from the moment of inception, the moment or incident. That zero time reference meaning that before the sperm fertilizes the egg, that's a zero time reference. And before in conception, there's inception, conception, and reception, okay, which is birth. And okay, so I'll read verse 4 again, Holy Tablets, tablet 8. Holy Tablets, chapter 1, tablet 8. Each individual, verse 4, each individual conceived has a zero time reference from the moment of inception, the moment or incident, in pure and holy darkness, before cause or effect, before right and wrong, good and evil, before chaos, and conception, process of growth. in the impure and unholy light of this world, where there is will, good and evil things happening. 5. That point is real time in each individual's existence. In the physical world, from conception is fate time. And what has happened is how they log birth. When you come out your mother's womb, they call that point, oh, that's when you were born. However, prior to the 9 months of conception, there's 3 months of inception, meaning that sperm and egg was already 3 months old. Okay. And it says that before the sperm fertilized the egg, that's the moment of inception, the fertilization. Once there's fertilization occurs, that's called the point of conception. The point is real time in each individual's existence. In the physical world, from conception is fate time. You exist in what's called set time. You set the time from life to death. It all exists before you. There's a state of existence before you and will exist after you. You and your life, but the physical life, is only a point or short space in real time, which exists when all the lights of life is cut on. It begins real time, yet existence already was in pure and holy darkness, and under set time is each individual's real time existence, their point of origin. Bit baffling there. However, we're saying here is that the time, this fake time that we are living under is necessary. We have to acknowledge this fate time, otherwise we'll go crazy. At the same time, acknowledge that there are other, for lack of a better word, clocks that are going on, or time frames that are going on, multiple time frames. Now, I hope everyone gets that. We have to, in order for us not to go crazy, we have to work within this fate time. But acknowledge that there are other time frames existing outside of this fate time. And we said last class, when we go to sleep and we are dreaming, what time frame are we going by? Okay. Outside of this earth plane, or outside of this three-dimensional plane, you mentioned last class, outside of this dimension, this 3D realm, time takes on a broader frame, a broader scope. So we have to live by, to the question, we have to, in order not to go crazy, we have to go by this fate time. Okay. Now, a question was asked. This is on our Telegram channel, on the OSM channel, Telegram, about somebody asked a question about how time is moving fast. And the reality is that time is moving fast. It must have mentioned that in the Man from Planet Risk scroll. Time is moving fast because the 24-hour clock, or let's say there is a dimensional shift occurring on the planet. It makes Master mentions it in the dimensional shift. Another part of based on quantum mechanics. There's a dimensional shift occurring on the planet. The molecular structures, I don't know how to put it, the atoms or within the atmosphere is speeding up. Everything is speeding up. That means we have to shift our consciousness to another level of perception or how we perceive time. At the same time, living in this fake time. We cannot procrastinate, for lack of a better word. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. Yeah, I'll do it no, because next week, before you know it, it's here. Next week was last week. Okay. And it's a thing that we say. We call it the 24-hour rule. Do a thing within 24 hours. Because after 24 hours, the chance of you doing that thing becomes less and less. Before you know it, 3 days has elapsed. After 3 days, the chance it becomes, hate this word, non-existent. So we call it the 24-hour rule. If you're going to do something, do it within 24 hours. And what that is developing is you as a being. You are now, when you start adopting that mindset, I'm going to do it now, you are now bringing things, you're now developing the ability to pull things down from the etheric to the mental plane quickly. The time frame of thinking about a thing and it materializing is getting shorter and shorter. That time frame, that time span is getting shorter and shorter. Once you start developing those qualities, as I'm talking, I'm trying to think of words to express to you all. Once you start developing those qualities of doing things now, you begin to make things happen almost at the speed of thought. And we gave an example last class saying how you could think, I want to get a parking space. Use this example. The reason I keep using an example because I use it all the time. You want to get a parking space. And at this particular location, lo and behold, you're driving and there's a parking space. Because you're pulling these things down. You are becoming a co-creator of your own reality by developing these little things and being aware of it. So now you are becoming in alignment with those higher forces, or we read, your thoughts are materializing at the speed of thought. Your thoughts or what you're thinking is materializing at the speed of thought. That's why the master says, outside of this earth plane, what you think or what the higher beings think materializes. But on the physical, it takes what we call time, but it has already materialized. What we mean by that, the master teacher put it like this. We said it last class. The past, the reason why I keep saying it last class, like we're repeating ourselves. The past is still happening and the future has already happened. And there's only now. There's then in the past and then in the future. And they call that time reversal symmetry. We explained this last time. That's the term they use, time reversal symmetry. All the past, present, or the past and the future are happening right now. And by way of our thoughts, we can affect the future and we can also affect the past by what we do now based on our thought pattern. Because our thought is not limited or bounded by this thing called time. Thought just is. And we see that word is just means existence. Existence is outside of this thing we call time. Okay, so okay, hope that answered that question there. Let's quickly say this. It's, again, reading from the Holy Tablets, page 69, tablet 7, verse 93. This is, I want to say this. We said, repeat ourselves again, those who wasn't here last class. Time does not move forward. Time does not move forward, nor has it come from behind. It has always been. 94. Time does not ascend upward, nor has it descended from above. Time is now. Now is the time. Time is. Then now is not then. Need some power juice. You lots make my throat dry. Excuse me. Need some more power juice. So I hope that answered the question on time. How the time that we are under, like everything else, is a construct. And the whole doctrine of Wu-Sabat is based upon the mechanics of the mind, or we termed quantum mechanics. And another scroll, I really do, oh, who scrolls the master teacher? The one, I always point back up to this one segment of Tahuti because, excuse me, the principles or the doctrine of Tahuti is really like an operating system because it's teaching us how to shape our lives. That's what this particular scroll is doing. Excuse me, some more power juice. I want to read an excerpt. Any questions thus far? Zoom or Clubhouse? Questions on Clubhouse or Zoom? In the class, any questions? And nothing. Everyone just
There's more questions on Zoom, Samal, so let me know.
oh, any time, Samantha, please. Yeah, go ahead. There's some questions.
It's Andreas, I think. It is the importance of the blackness of the flowing of the mind. I don't know, sorry, that's not really a question, is it? Sorry. Let's go back a bit. Okay, these are statements rather than questions. So if you want to take questions from the class, sorry, when you're posting questions in the on Zoom, can you make them be a direct question, please, rather than statements, so the teacher can get to answer them properly?
Don't be there. Oh, no, it's just statements, is it?
Two of them are.
Okay. This okay. Continue reading. This particular scroll, again, the prism is another one. I'll read from page 3. I want to say something. I'll read this. Is that yeah, this segment of Tahuti, I keep going back to this scroll because it will take your minds, it will elevate us to a whole new level. You read this. And once you start reading this, once your mind open up, things will never be the same again. How we perceive ourselves and the world around us never be the same again. And we said earlier on that chant Maybe some more algae. Um, right. That's right. Once your mind open up to right knowledge, our lives will never be the same again. Because your eyes will become open, and the more our eyes become open, the greater we'll be able to see. Our vision will become enhanced. So I want to read. Ray's got a question. Ray would like to ask the question. I could no sir. Okay, no problem. Right, I just want to read the prism part called the prism. It's got here. Then we talk about thoughts. Oh, God. Oh, okay. The Malcolm just gave me an offering. um, I'm reading from the prism, page 3. I'm reading from verse 26. And being energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed from one state to another. 27. And thoughts also are triggered by emotions or energy in motion. 28. So in fact, all energy ever used, which includes thoughts and emotional energy, exist eternally. 29. In quantum facts, matter is a form of energy. Atoms aren't material substance in all. 30. They are merely small packets, orbs of energy. I just want to stop there. They say that an atom is really composed, most of the atom is composed of nothingness or just a vacuum, got electron, proton, but most of it is nothingness, which really is not true because in that vacuum, there are waves or particles which we call natural ether energy that is still there that has outformation. So it's not that there's nothing there in the atom, there is. It's just that it's undetectable by human instrumentation. And that's why they got the CERN, the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland. They want to find what they call it, the God particle. They want to find out the origin of existence and know how to control it. But the master said that what they've done is, though, they've ripped a hole in the matrix of the earth and opened up a portal, but you've got demons coming through. That's what they're doing. And they can't close it. They can't close it because they opened it with the hole in it. So it goes on to say, 29. In quantum facts, matter is a form of energy. Atoms aren't material substance in all. 30. They are merely small packets, orbs of energy. 31. Even when an electron is described as a particle, when its wave function has collapsed, it remains a form of energy. This goes back to the double split. or double slit experiment, 32, or what they call the observer effect. 32, this energy of which everything is composed is in the form of waves that can be encoded with information from outformation just as cells. And what does the master mean by that? He explains it, the next one, number 33. These waves have an infinite capacity for receiving information as black and information as white. Is limited to this realm, the orbs of their birth at 6 months in the womb. Departs at physical death of white people or Caucasoid, are little white orbs of flame. So what the master is saying here is that we can receive information from these waves. How do we do that? Is again, that's by sitting in silence or by doing a chant or doing a prayers. Because as we're sending out, the information coming back at the speed of thought. That's how quick it's coming back. 34. So in fact, all the energy that has ever been used remains encoded with unique individual rays of light ending in violet light or the black light. 35. Onto higher dimensional frequencies linked to spirit, ka'a, ka'a, to soul, ba'a, to ether, ak, with golden children, Nagara Nadu Negroids. Here it is. 36. Nagaru Negroids have their own frequency signature or tone of vibration as in comparison to other races. Each race vibrates on a different light, ending in violet light or the black light. 35. Okay, continue. We have never feedback there. So Nagara Nadu, 36 again. Nagaru Negroids have their own frequency signature or tone of vibration. 37. So Nagaru Negroids are living beings, are packets of quantum energy as a part of the entire all, constantly exchanging information to information with the inexhaustible energy of Papa or all expanding. Read that bit again, you may have missed it. 37. So Nagara Nadu Negroids are living beings, are packets of quantum energy as a part of the entire all, constantly exchanging information to information with the inexhaustible energy of Papa or all expanding. What we're saying is that we are, as we said in the DVD, the video, we are quantum existing beings. So it's saying here. It is also called the 0-point field and is described as an ocean of microscopic vibration in the space or ether. In quantum physics, they call that the 0-point field, they call it they refer to it as the quantum field theory. That's what they call it. Refer to that. And that quantum field theory, as you read in one of the other schools reading, other part of that, I think it's all expanded, whereby the quantum field theory states that we can access those fields, as it says here, and extract information. That's not how they word it, but if you tap in quantum field theory, you see that that's what they're saying, that there's a reservoir that we can tap into and extract information. They call it, it's also called the 0-point field, and it's described as an ocean of microscopic vibration in the space or ether. 39, a huge reservoir of mental to physical energy. 40, so like subatomic particles influence all other particles instantaneously over time and space. 41, so like all colors, violet is a wave, and waves can alter other waves through resonance. I don't want to stop there. Understand that sometimes it's going to be a bit overwhelming information, but it's something that we need to start gravitating towards. Do not be scared, or do not be, I should use the word, overwhelmed, because when we hear certain terms, we can pull the shutters down and say, no, this is beyond me. No, it's not beyond you. It's within you, not beyond you. It's within you. All this information is within you. I don't want to go on too much. Any questions thus far, fam? Somebody, Curtis Star, any questions on Zoom, Samantha? I just want to read Frankie Frankie writes this. 1. How do sentient beings come about? Is it from the incarnation of souls to help with the development of the species, or is it from gradual development of awareness, from first density going up, or something completely different? Okay. Is it from the incarnation come about? Is it from the incarnation of souls to help with the development of the species, or is it from gradual development of awareness, from first density going up? Okay. That's a very good question. We came in. I'm trying to figure out how. I'm trying to, in my mind, I was like, what's the best way how to put this across? We first came here as encoded with information in our DNA from the Master Dimensions Cyber Star System and the Orion Star System. The DNA was placed in the dolphin, sent to the planet Earth in the waters, and grew from there. And in the scroll, the formation, in there he explains the original 9 different types of, for lack of a better word, let's say under the waters. 9 different types of beings that were produced. The first one is being referred to as the hydropygmies. Millions of years ago, we have what's called the SMAT circle, the circle of space, matter, and time. What that means is that we have cycles upon cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles. And the original beings that were placed here in the waters within the dolphin, during that time frame, death didn't exist. He mentions it in the formation, particle formation. I've got it with me. And it's from there we start to grow until the point where we came on land by way of a tsunami, became as mer people, and we started to evolve into this state that we're in right now. This state is not a superior state, however, it's a superior state that enables us to exist in this particular cycle. And as time goes on, we're going to move into a different type of beings. It is the 9 ether beings that has been imbued with soul. So you can say that it's correct to say that we are soul beings incarnated, as you put here. How do sentient beings come about? Is it from the incarnate? Well, how sentient beings comes about, you're talking about through going back, way back from the star system, Orion and Cyrus. And in the scroll, tones, frequencies, and vibration explains it. I just want to quickly read a very interesting, I have time, Sam, but I'm going to read, since the person, Frankie asked the question, I'm going to answer it. So my this one then. Actual fact number 18, time, sound, DNA molecules, and vibrational frequency. Very interesting. I'm read an excerpt from here. We've read it many times. Yeah, find it for your own. Must be near the back so good. Okay. This is page 16. Got a few minutes left, 3 minutes. Okay, it says it here. Page 16. So it's called actual fact number 18. Reading verse from 111. Let me start from 110. Very interesting, this scroll here. The whole scroll's very interesting. Let me put it away. Let's start say 110. Read page 16. You yourself, as a part of the laws of chaos, Isfot and order Ma'at, are no different from those stars. You are made up of the exact same atoms, cells, elements of light, life, and energy. The same materials that the suns and stars are made up of, we too are composed of that as well. 111. You are putting out signals, which will mostly explain that we are transceivers. You are putting out signals which will continue as wave matter particles even after you have died. Each have their own zero-time reference of existence unique to each one. As each Huminu, which is and Humim'u, the Huminu is the masculine, the Humim'u is the feminine, has their own zero-time reference. Once a sound is made, it never really dies, only changes volume or vibration tone. 112. All of creation is life. So all of creation of life is life waves that pass down in vibration 2. Geminu Ogdot, underwater, soundless, to Subzitu Ininads, out, come out onto land. This is what we're going to hit this now. 130. Now, to begin, it goes back about 9 billion years to another abode called Subzitat, Cyrus star system. It had 3 major suns, Cyrus A, Cyrus B, and Cyrus C. On the last Cyrus C, that abode, the beings had reached such heights that they did not need their vast technologies. Most of those beings were past the need of rebirth, and others of them were already transformed into Etherians, moved onto the mental boat of existence. They was having this planning. It's going to say something very interesting. 114, the necessity for a physical body, form or body on any vibrational level was below their needs. No need of a physical instrument to play the tone or sound of their music. Body was obsolete. So these beings are pure mental beings. 115, because of the ability of the state inhabitants to precipitate their needs from ether, Ahu. 116, after 9,000 more years, except for those beings of that abode who lagged too far behind to attain transformation, the many Etherians from that star system, Sarisi or Subzitat, advanced in one moment with all the higher beings of all the other abodes being one with the universe onto the fourth abode of existence. Save the mental. 117. Those lagging beings who had to remain behind were deprived of every iota of higher levels of becoming Nadaru because of their attachment to the physical things of their world, just as those here on Partanun, the planet Earth, will also be left behind because of their physical attachments to their bodies, lust, and material things, greed, food, pleasures, greed, food, pleasures. 118. Others who raised fell and were returned to lower levels, trapped and lost in worlds unknown to the inner being, and are host to be held in abeyance, means temporary suspension, to the world they are in now, and can be used and abused emotionally by lower forces of the etheric powers. I'm going to quickly jump to 120. No, okay, let me go from 119 to 120 to finish. 119, looked over by Pa Khebitu of the 4th to 3rd spiritual abodes. Khebitu is now a word for saying like the higher angelic beings. Of the 4th, which is the mental plane, to the 3rd abode, spiritual plane, of spiritual and mental abodes. Some have access to the 5th abode, who had originally took part in the creation of lower abodes, down to the 1st abode, and can come 120 and can come down to this physical abode and transform beings to higher levels. Others are lost, and in time will dissolve as did Cyrus C, which collapsed into nothingness. He's talking about this planet Earth, and he mentioned that in that update as well. And the lower beings were sent, and lower beings there from Cyrus C were sent to other planets like here. On this planet, as 90s have been explained to us in the Garden Nadu, we have 2 types of people on this planet here. You have those of the higher abodes that are on this planet, and of those of the lower abodes that are on this planet. An example would be like the master teacher. Those of the higher abodes have incarnated on this planet to help those who fell to be raised back up. So when that time arrives, they will all ascend. And he says in here, this is going back 9 billion years ago. as what happened on Cyrus C. I've got here 122, leaving Cyrus B and Cyrus A. Many of the higher beings from them, it says it here, yeah. Many of the higher beings from them, Cyrus C, came here to Parpatanund, planet Earth, or the blue planet, or water planet. Others went upward to Sahu Orion star systems. Many of us, so you don't even know, those amongst us could be of those high Ethereans just waiting to be touched by the master, or I should say, given activation, let's put it like that, from the master, from his release. This planet's going to change. It's changing as we speak. So now, if one man, use the word man for like, if one deity, I suppose to use, can do all this, imagine if you had 9 more beings like the master teacher, feminines and masculines, like him. What's going to happen to the planet? Checkmate. Game's over. Just put the... Okay, game is done. Put the chess pieces away. Game changer. Because you know, with the master teacher, there are other Ethereans behind him. And in time, they will incarnate. And the 9 that he, let's say, for example, the 144 that he raises up, the deities will be walking the planet Earth as before. Maybe a game changer. Fam, we have to, that's it. Overstayed our welcome. And once, I hope you all enjoyed the class. As I said before, give you a few reference points. Seek out that video, What to Believe Do We Know? Go back with that mindset, go back and reread the scrolls. And you'll see things will start to, your mind will start to shift another degree. Okay. Fam, until the next time, till next class. Oh, brother, some say, what scroll are we reading? This scroll was called Artifact number 18, Tones, Frequencies, and Vibration. Or Tone, Sound, DNA, and Body Calls, Vibrational Frequency. Artifact number 18. Another scroll based upon quantum mechanics from the master. So, fam, once again, we like to say, Tawahad. Thank you all for taking the time out, because for coming to class here in the chat, for those of you on Zoom and Clubhouse, it gives us much pleasure when we are relaying this information. And the master says what we teach is what we need to know ourselves. So I am just like you, I'm learning just as from teaching you all as you all are learning from myself. That's a two-way process. Okay. Until next class, next week, same time, the same place. Akros, give and take care. Take care. Until the next time, Moisar. Pokawan. All is. We are.
Wadu.
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 I will tap.
Bye, everyone.